In today's episode, we were talking about how we went from about to back out of a deal to being dancing around the living room excited about a deal all within 24 hours. That's literally what happened.
That is what happened.
Oh my God. Literally more than the after repair value. I said, oh my God, is this why people run from real estate? This is why they run.
That is.
Hey guys, and welcome to Investing with the BaldoVINOS. The saddest intro music ever. I'm Josh.
I'm Hannah.
And this is our story as we invest in real estate. Since our last episode, a lot has happened. We are still currently closing on our first property. Found a pretty fun deal, and so we decided to make an offer on it, and we are happy to announce that we are in contract for property number 2.
Yeah. So just quick difference on that. The first property was a single family home that we were just planning on buying and renting out. But the second property is where we want to go with our BRRRR strategy. So it was a distressed property. We're planning on rehabbing it, and we will rent it out as soon as it's done. So that's sort of a different.
So I'll put some pictures on screen here. Look at me swiping the pictures. And swiping pictures.
Ooh.
This is Ellsworth. Ellsworth, named just because that's the street name. But as you can tell by the pictures, there are some boarded up windows. There's a really interesting story about this property that we'll dive into more. But first, we'll just talk about a little bit in terms of how I found the deal, why I thought it was a deal. And then we'll go into some of the quick details. For the Ellsworth property, we got this deal off market. There's about 3 different Facebook groups and email lists that we now joined. This one popped up on the Facebook group as I was looking. Sent it over to our agent. We ran some comps. The house right next door is beautiful. I'll put some pictures of this one too. You know, because everyone likes to see pictures of houses. Like, that's why you watch HGTV and our channel. So don't forget to subscribe. But the house next door sold for $200, rough about the same size, but did have a garage and really nice upgrades. This one, a lot more rundown. Obviously, there's boarded up windows, but the seller was asking for $85. We did lock it in for $85, and are now in the process of negotiating that purchase price. There's off-market deals, and that's how you can find really what the best deals are. It's not going to be on the MLS, but it's going to be. And
Don't just search on the MLS systems. Like, there's multiple ways to have off-market deals sent to you.
I mean, actually, for everything that we've been reading is to get the best deal, they are going to be off-market. They're not going to be on the MLS. This was just so happened to be one of the first one that we offered on. I think one thing I would have done differently is off the gate, I wouldn't have asked, or I wouldn't have offered for asking price.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about why you did that?
I mean, our agent actually just said, hey, we think this is a really good deal. It's a fair price. And, and I think for me, like, there's a conflict of, do we lowball someone for the sake of lowballing as an investor? Or should we, like, pay what's fair?
No, I think we should always lowball. But that's lesson learned. The name of the game is to get a property below value.
It is. I mean, I think it is undervalued and it's priced correctly. Although, having it $10K less makes it a smoking deal.
Oh gosh, here we go.
I said that with the agent. It felt so weird,
yeah,
but
it was weird.
We can make it a thing.
Okay, we can make it a thing.
Okay, so
Okay.
There's a few differences between this property and our first one, right? So the Miller property, boom, and then the Ellsworth property, right? So here are the differences. I'll talk about first the financing. That's my side. Acquisitions and financing. She's operations. Just,
I looked so Asian.
Okay, so the first off the gate for the Miller property, we are going to use conventional 20% down financing. Like I said in a previous video, if you haven't seen that, click the link here. But that is going to go under my name as a loan note, and then we're going to be both on the title. For the Ellsworth property, we're actually going to use a hard money loan. Sounds super scary.
Hard money loan.
Dun, dun, dun. Ominous music. Dun, dun, dun. We're going to use a hard money loan. I mean, because it sounds scary.
Yeah, I think we talked about that last time.
I know, but it makes me feel scared.
Yeah, and it is actually scary because it's a lot of running numbers and making sure that you have to know your numbers, and it better be as accurate as possible.
Long story short, it's a short-term loan, and if you don't pay it off or refi it by the time the loan expires, which is usually 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, they seize the property. Yeah. We'll go into that differently, but that's how we're financing it differently. Is one's going to be a hard money loan, the other one's going to be a traditional financing. What about you on operations side? What's your difference?
All right, so the biggest differences obviously between our first and second property is the first property is just going to be very lightweight cosmetics done on the house. And the second property is going to be like a full rehab. That means getting a general contractor out there and doing a full bid with each, like with the full scope of work and an itemized list of how much things are going to cost. So which is can be a whole new other episode, actually, just contractors in general. It's been an interesting experience.
Yeah, I think one thing I've learned is you can find the best deal in the world, but the contractor makes or breaks the deal.
It does seem like that. And finding a contractor that you can trust that will give you numbers that sort of align with what your vision has been an interesting experience.
Yeah.
That could be a whole new episode as well.
The last thing is what our expected returns are. For the Miller house, right, we're putting 20% down, which means that we're putting roughly about, make numbers around $25,000 into the deal. And that's the equity. There was no added value for that. And we actually have to spend another $6,000 on repairs. So technically there's almost a negative there for a second until the area appreciates and we get some principal pay down. So that takes a little bit.
Okay.
There's going to be a bigger cash flow. For the Ellsworth property,
Beep, beep, beep.
moving.
Okay.
I know the light. See, as the light moves, it's just about. Okay, for the Ellsworth property, right? And so once we fix the property up, flipper TV show on HGTV, we will have added value to the property, and then now there's an after repair value that it's worth a lot more than you bought it for. Yeah, so if you bought it for $85,000, put $30,000 down or $30,000 for rehab, that's a total of $115,000 into it, not including closing fees and loan fees and yada yada yada. But we're expecting the after repair value to be roughly between $150 on the low end and hopefully $160 on the high end, which means there's $35,000 of profit there.
Yay!
That we're keeping in equity and we're keeping that property to let it appreciate and then renting it out. Anyways, this deal has been a really
stressful.
It's stressful. It's the roller coaster, and I think until we have a contractor like that we really trust, it'll be stressful, and that's what we've learned here is that is a really important part of the deal.
Yeah.
What?
Sorry. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, and also our agents have been amazing, kind of walking us through this.
The voice of reason, too, throughout the process.
Yeah, because that's been...
Yeah. So he was kind of like having a freak out moment yesterday. So do you want to tell him a little bit about like what was stressing you out specifically?
I like to have control and be able to plan things. And if I'm not in, I don't know nothing about construction.
I don't know nothing.
I ain't know nothing about construction. But having this deal funded is contingent upon a certain, the bids of the contractor coming in what, at least in a ballpark range of what we expect. And because our first bid came out literally more than the after repair value, I said, oh my God, this is why people run from real estate. This is why they run.
That is true. Oh yeah, we can insert a little clip of our conversation yesterday, what was going on when we first got our bid, right?
Yeah.
A fun fact, our first contractor, in the last week I had calls about like 10 different contractors, and there was one that I really liked, and so we had asked him to do a bid, and it came back as $150,000 of renovations. And so I think that really spurred this very nervous energy, like how is this possible? But this is the point where I would be like, oh yeah, maybe this isn't for me. I'm scared, I'm gonna quit. But you have to think of it like that, like a business operations. It's not, you're learning, you're onboarding, you're training, and you're gonna make mistakes, but doesn't mean you're bad for it. A lot of the podcasts and stuff that we listen to, it's people are saying oh, I didn't put any of my money, or oh, I didn't have any money at all, or whatever, but you could still do it. I'm trying to figure out $300, or $400 for an inspection, $200 just to do a bid, that's a lot of money, in general. It might be pocket change to other people, but it's a lot of significant money. So I'm just trying to figure out, you need a little bit of money to try to be in the real estate game. Is that, what do you think? I think it's my first rude awakening. Maybe I was a little
naive. Just a couple hours earlier, I'm like telling him like, it's fine. Like, don't stress out. It's just, it's not out in our control. And then now I'm like, I think we just got to keep going.
I almost feel relieved.
Why?
Well, because I knew that if the bid was too high, that like it's just easier to walk away and lose 400 than to like tie yourself up and lock yourself into a deal that could lose thousands. So
I think we were on different playing fields, so then we went with other contractors. Which you should always have multiple bids regardless. So, but that was just our first one, and it was like very shocking and jarring to us.
Yeah, and I think also to me, it was like the realization that we could be potentially backing out of this deal. And if we were to back out of it, like there would be, like we had to pay to even start the deal.
Yeah.
Right. So there was earnest money that we put in that we can't get out, but that we paid for an inspection for, which is a couple $100s, that we were now eventually going to pay for some contractor bids that could also be a couple $100 each. And so, the thought of us putting in $1,000 to then just say, this deal's not going to work out, let's walk away, and like just leave $1,000 going was like, oh, that's our hard worked money.
Yeah.
But, that's some of the risk. If it's worth it, I don't know. We'll find out soon, I guess. But so far, we're moving forward with the deal.
Yes, because we got a better bid this morning, and so it's definitely more aligned with our numbers and what we expect.
It's basically spot on that 30, which we don't have a contingency for, so we got to add that into it. But we are trying to negotiate the purchase price down to cover the contingencies. So it's not over yet.
It is not over yet.
Well, if you found any of this content helpful, don't forget to like the video. It helps us a lot. It means a lot. Just give us a thumbs up because we're cool people. And if you want to follow along our journey and see if we end up getting the price reduction, make sure to subscribe. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Cheers! Cheers! Boom!
A whole new episode.
A whole new episode.
Okay.
I won't quit my day job. Oh my God, we should go away. Oh my God. Less lift.
Do the happy dance.
Little Cabbage Patch. Don't hit the mic.